sneaking feces into your drinks. Here's the sick reason why. Apparently, a British investigation done in conjunction with the pro-Muslim BBC took it upon themselves to test iced drinks at 3 popular fast food chains in London, England. And what they claim to have found is no laughing matter. BBC explained they were looking for evidence of coliform bacteria that would indicate the presence of fecal matter. The researchers tested 10 samples in all, at Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and McDonald's, looking for traces of the microbes. Odd that they would target only American companies, if you ask me. According to their results, KFC was the worst offender. 7 samples in all tested positive for the presence of the fecal bacteria. Burger King wasn't far behind with 6 samples testing positive. McDonald's only had 3 samples test positive. The problem appears to come from the ice production methods. In England, there are safety standards in place for unfrozen drinking water, but none specifically for the production of ice. Wonder what they would find if they dared to test the local Muslim Hill restaurants? Restaurant chains and multiple mom-and-pop shops from all over the world set up shop in London. But these people decided to target only 3 American chains? Sounds very odd to me. If Great Britain has no safety standards for the production of ice, I will bet you American franchises are the least offenders in this department. The commentator reports. A study released today claims that the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, Britain's publicly funded broadcaster, has given overwhelmingly greater weight to pro-migration voices over the past 15 years. The report, produced and published by the New Culture Forum, analyzes BBC coverage of major immigration events and issues over the past decade and a half, taking into account the corporation's radio, television and internet coverage of the subject. The report focuses on the BBC's most influential programs such as Newsnight, the Today program and the News at 10. Ed West, the author of the study, writes that like any organization, the BBC has a tendency towards groupthink and one that perhaps reflects minority, even elitist, viewpoints. Examples of the bias include the use of unanimously pro-migration interviews for a special feature on migration in 2002, a feature which has been slammed as propaganda. Even the television soap opera, EastEnders, has been criticized for masking the real truth about immigration in Britain, with the report suggesting that the predominantly white cast in East London is not reflective of reality. It states, a realistic East London soap opera would have to show a white family moving out every year, to be replaced by Bangladeshis or Somalis, and much of the program would need to be subtitled. Broadcaster Jeff Randall, formerly of the BBC, suggested that the organization's attitudes to multiculturalism were not impartial, stating, "When I was there, this was not up for grabs. Multiculturalism was a good thing. The BBC supported it. Don't take my word for it because, when I complained to the BBC about our coverage of asylum seekers, this is what I got back from a very senior BBC News executive, Jeff. The BBC internally is not neutral about multiculturalism. It believes in it, and it promotes diversity. Let's face up to that." On the subject of Islamism, the report asserts that the BBC tends to downplay activities on the part of Islamists. An unnamed producer revealed that, the BBC has a set of anxieties about Islam. They think it's quaint. The BBC Schools website, aimed at educating children, apparently gives an uncritical view of Islam, one in which men and women are equal and the Prophet Muhammad stressed the importance of women. But coverage of Christianity tends to be more harsh, with the same website stating, "Many people think the Christian church is sexist. It does not treat men and women equally." The corporation has also been charged with being soft on honor killing and FGM, female genital mutilation, according to an unnamed producer working within the organization. But the report also suggests that while the bias is clearly prevalent, it may not be intentional. It states, the BBC takes an angle on an issue not because it has an agenda, but because, in an organization as prone to the echo chamber effect as any other, it has not suitably addressed the what-if of another voice. The report recommends, amongst other things, that the BBC publishes a list of all guests together with biographies, and in fact devotes airtime toward discussions over its own impartiality. Ed West concludes, more than any other policy, immigration has changed, and continues to change, British society. And unlike almost any other, this is a change that decent, liberal-minded opponents cannot reverse. For that reason, the issue of immigration must be treated skeptically, argued fairly and aired honestly as part of the national conversation. This is a conversation that can only happen if the BBC takes the lead. This paper comes ahead of the publication of the BBC's own Impartiality Report, which is due in July 2013. That report is part of a wider look at bias being undertaken by the corporation. A number of leading corporate figures, including former Director General Mark Thompson, have expressed concern about whether the BBC was late to the issue of immigration. In a city such as London, that has countless Islamic establishments, I wonder why they completely ignored those and went after the franchises that symbolize American freedom? Such as the ones who give us the ability to drink as many cups of soft drink as we like without charging us extra? No matter how you look at this, it's not hard to see there was some kind of bias here. And since the mayor of London is Islamic, I'm pretty sure targeting these three franchises wasn't by accident.